Hello and welcome to On the Corner, the official podcast of PitcherList.com. I'm your host, Eric Samulski, joined, as always, by my co-host, Nick Pollack. Nick, how are you doing?
What is happening? We're here. It's a Monday again, and last week we did this late. We're not doing it late this week. We're also doing it on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel for this podcast now, so go to On the Corner Podcast at YouTube. This episode is there. We're actually live streaming right now. I didn't tell anybody. So
yeah, he didn't even tell me.
You're watching this, amazing. I don't know how you found us.
He didn't tell me. I would have trimmed up the beard. I would have done something a little different. You know, I'm glad I showered before this.
Me too.
Just lucky.
Me too. You did just for me though. That means a lot more to me.
Well, but because the first time we're both back in our respective humble abodes a while,
it's been a little bit
back to normal. You know,
back to normal. I will be in San Francisco in 2 weeks. However, I purposefully am flying out on Tuesday just so I can do this with you.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank
and
you
everyone here.
That.
So here's the thing. This list is ridiculous this week. There are like a lot of just changes in the middle that I said, you know what, I'm getting fed up again and taking chances on guys and all this kind of stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of weirdness, and I cannot wait for the Reddit comments and everyone else being like, this is the worst thing ever. But we're going to talk about it all today. And Eric Samulski, what is the name of this list this week?
Well, this one, it's just going to be called It's Barely Over, because that's what I thought you said when I asked you who the cover of the list was.
There it is.
You said it's barely over.
There it is.
That's where we're going.
And he deserves it because it's barely over. Getting aces this past week. I didn't really think it's so funny. I actually said he was like the guardians of aces against aces, because I always kind of considered him more like a 6 strikeout guy, 7 strikeout guy. Sure. But he's been having these double-digit strikeout games, and now that he can showcase that, he's really gotten locked in with his changeup and four-seamer and cutter. It's just a beautiful trifecta of pitches. Bailey Ober has so far distanced himself from that opening day performance, and yeah, he deserves this as an ace.
He does, and you know what? We'll give it to him. He deserves it, and we'll give it to him.
Lovely.
So the theme of this week's podcast, as I mentioned, was traveling back with the family yesterday. Got back, Sunday night after we put my son to sleep. It was 8:00, and we were thinking, there's no way that after a day of travel at 8 p.m., we're going to make some dinner. And Nick, that's the beauty of living in New York City, is just the multitude of takeout delivery options right at your fingertips. So that's the theme for today. We're going with takeout / delivery options.
Oh my God.
First, personally, if you want to shout out some of your local favorites, go for it, or they can be more general. And obviously, if we get to the bottom of the tiers, maybe don't give specific names, because it might not be. They might be like two-star Yelp reviews.
Yeah, there we go. That sounds good.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump right in, probably to the 5-star reviews. We got tier number 1. And it starts with number 1, Zach Wheeler. Number 2, Tyler Glasnow. Number 3, Tarek Skubal. Number 4, Chris Sale. Number 5, Paul Skeens. Number 6, Jack Flaherty. Number 7, Blake Snell. Number 8, Dylan Cease. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to takeout in New York City, there's really just no option outside of a pizza pie. It's just, this is always there for you, And you also, when you get one, maybe you don't finish the whole thing. You got more later. It's, you have a group of people, you go take out, we're just gonna get some pizza. Everyone goes, oh, okay, cool, great, thank you so much, that's awesome, fantastic. There's some variety in there, but it's gonna be a pizza pie. And the one I do right now is Pino's in Park Slope. Pino's on La Fourchette. It's my favorite one in Park Slope. It's fantastic. Order from Pino's, guys.
And yes, people, it is called a pie. I understand that in some places it might not be, but yeah, if you're getting the whole thing, it's called a pie.
What else would it be called?
I don't know, but I called it a pizza pie with former teammates from Texas, and they were like, "It's not a pie. Is it apple? Is it rhubarb? Is it cherry?" And I said, "No, it's pizza pie."
Oh dear, yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you hang around with ignorant people.
I'll shout out Vinny's in Williamsburg. They got famous for making the Inception pizza, which is a pizza that has little tiny pizzas as the topping on top of the pizzas. It's great.
Oh wow.
But, my wife and I do what we call the Great White Buffalo. And
what?
It's half the Great White Buffalo. Have you ever seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
Oh my gosh, a long time ago.
Phenomenal movie, but they talk about the Great White Buffalo and they whisper it every time.
Great White Buffalo. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yep.
So we get a pizza that's half white and half buffalo chicken.
Oh, I love
those are our two favorites.
There you go. Beautiful.
Vinny's. These guys have all been here in the top tier for a while. I don't know if there's anything you feel the need to say about any of these guys.
Yeah, I had an interesting discussion with Perrin inside of the playback chat. And by the way, guys, I'll know what you're doing. Join me for these live streams. I can't express this enough. If you're listening to these podcasts and you feel like I'm missing the mark on something, or you just want to really get my thoughts on whatever, I answer every single question there. And if I don't answer it, ask again, because then I'll eventually answer it. And it is so helpful having these conversations, because it really does help me alter things. I've certainly moved guys based on these conversations. So if you have any thoughts about this stuff, instead of just yelling at a cloud or so, come hang out with me, and maybe actually something will happen. And there's Perrin brought up an interesting point about, a lot of young guys, when they throw 100+ innings in their first year, they generally degrade more, and a lot of these older veteran ones still stable or more stable in September, that kind of thing. Personally, I understand that Skeens was lower in velocity. He was sitting 97 to 98 as opposed to, oh my gosh, 99 or whatever. But I still saw a dominant Paul Skeens. I'm certainly not ready to do anything with that. He's still amazing. And even if you're going to have a life of 97-mile-per-hour Paul Skeens, you're going to have a life of an amazing, amazing pitcher. So I'm not doing anything quite yet about Paul Skeens.
Yes, you'd have a life that all of us would love to live. We'd love to live with some of these guys in tier number 2 as well. That starts with number 9, Logan Gilbert. Number 10, Aaron Nola. Number 11, Luis Castillo. Number 12, Michael King. Number 13, Bailey Ober. Number 14, George Kirby. Number 15, Cole Reagans. Number 16, Hunter Green. Number 17, Corbin Burns. And number 18, Shota Imanaga. What's this tier called, and why is it called that?
I mean, come on, it's got to be a La Bagel. La Bagel Delight. You guys know it's my bagel guys. Okay. And I'd say the biggest negative is that they aren't open at night, which is unfortunate. But bacon, egg, and cheese and avocado. Oh my gosh. Toasted plain bagel with sometimes everything, but
you get the avocado on
actually
it,
just too much with
No.
everything that's going on.
No, it's not. You always got to get everything. You got to get
Anyway, with salt, pepper, ketchup. You got to do that too. And
or hot sauce if you don't want ketchup.
Yeah, if you want to go that route, by all means. But yeah, La Bagel Delight, and keep in mind the one outside of or across from Methodist Hospital, there are multiple. Make sure you do the right one. It's between 6th and 7th Street on 7th Avenue. The best.
Or I used to go to the one by Packer over closer to like.
No. Yeah. This is the one that's good.
Okay.
Tino, those are my guys.
A little bit of hot sauce is Michael King. We talked about him last week, but just another shout out that he's just been incredibly good since the start of the year. Loving that he keeps kind of pushing upwards toward tier number 1. Wild to think of the tiers or the rankings currently of this Mariners trio. At the start of the year, if you would have said it would go Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, I think people would have been surprised by that.
Right. The real thing with Gilbert is that I had him lower in the beginning of the season because I just didn't buy into that the slider and fastball would both be great. He's really found the feel for both right now. In his last start, it was sliders down under the zone and down and in town, as I like to say, and fastballs living above it. His splitter, his cutter help out at times as well. And when those are actually all three cooking, like he can defeat anyone easily. I know it sounds weird considering he had those two strange, terrible outings before the last one against the Mets, but those were just strange innings, honestly, especially the one in Fenway. So I'm not really too concerned about them. And I just feel that Logan Gilbert, with what he's bringing with his arsenal, speaks more to this right now than the other guys. I mean, like Aaron Nola, there's still some touch concerns of things. There's Luis Castillo, really good with his four seamers upstairs, but kind of strange with his changeup and his slider at the moment. Michael King, obviously, we know the track history, or the track record isn't quite as solid, I think, as Logan Gilbert's. Billy Ober's looking great. Maybe I should actually be giving him more love. But George Kirby is down because of, well, strikeouts are not quite there, and you're not really putting everything together in the same way. So that's why I have it ordered as I do. And the biggest drop, of course, is Corbin Burns, because his cutter's not as good. Cutter's just hanging upstairs, and like, what are you doing? He hasn't been able to do it all year, so it's very strange.
It's funny because I understand they're not the same pitcher, but Kirby, Logan Webb, Zach Gallen were kind of these like, hey, they're not going to get tons of strikeouts, but they're going to have really strong ratios. And they were pushed into like the top 10, 12-ish range at the start of the year for this perceived safety on just being really good pitchers who may not have that kind of like wow factor upside. And Kirby's still obviously been the best of the group, but it's just funny that it is a season where those swing and miss guys have really risen to the top, and some of that's health, right? Sale's been healthy. Glasnow's been healthy.
Yeah.
Flaherty is now healthy. But like your Ceases and Snells and, guys like that, like they have Hunter Green, right? The strikeout guys have continued to kind of ascend where some of the safer ratio arms have not quite delivered.
Right. Yeah. So it's really nice that Gilbert, hey, cool, you did things.
Yeah.
It's nice. Absolutely.
But yeah, something to think about as we get into our offseason conversations. Tier number 3 starts with number 19, Garrett Cole. Number 20, Luis Heel. Number 21, Max Fried. Number 22, Robbie Ray. Number 23, Taj Bradley. Number 24, Pablo Lopez. What's this tier called? Why is it called that? This
is what I've been kind of going for lately, and it's just, it's just kind of nice as like a lunch all the time. It's a salad, believe it or not, but it's not any salad. It's the best salad. It's chicken with avocado and egg and some Parmesan and some ranch romaine. Oh my gosh, it's the best. And yeah, it's great. So I know it's New York. I know I'm supposed to do other things, but like honestly, it's an afternoon, like a lunch salad in New York. That's pretty standard,
especially in the summer. Yeah, I got no problem with it. I also have I have a little everything bagel seasoning at home. Sometimes I chuck a little bit of that on a salad, give a little extra flavor to it. Tremendous. Yeah. We should talk about the first guy on this list, Garrett Cole, because we mentioned, that he had not looked like himself in previous starts, right? 8 combined strikeouts in 2 outings against Toronto and the Mets. The Mets start was particularly not so good. Better against the Rangers. We got 10 strikeouts and 5 1/3, 1 run allowed. Did you see something in that start that made you feel like we might be getting back to the Garrett Cole? Or is this just what we talked about, where like some starts are going to look good and some starts are going to be iffy because he might still not be 100%?
Yeah, it is really strange that Garrett Cole decided, you know what, I'm not going to throw that slider as much this year because it's been great. Honestly, I mean, he threw 16 sliders, 15 cutters, 15 curveballs in this one. And sure, all of it worked. So that's why he went after it. But really just a 53% strike rate on that cutter. Wasn't really utilizing it as well as he would like to. And I just think like, well, dude, you got 14 whiffs on sliders and curveballs combined in this one. You should be throwing more of these in the future than the cutter. And it's really good to see that slider return, honestly. I mean, I think that was the main element that was missing from before. He had 26 whiffs in this game, which is bonkers. This was the old Garrett Cole returning. 9 whiffs on this 4-seamer as well. So I want to feel like this is Garrett Cole taking that ace is going to ace leap. I can't yet. I have rules, guys.
You do.
3 starts. So I can't do it quite yet.
Yeah. Speaking of old selves returning, Taj Bradley, the last 2 starts, has not looked particularly good. The Marlins start, I know that you in particular discussed like a little bit of bad luck, some pitches that were hit out that were not terrible pitches, but we had always talked about the fact that Bradley's command in terms of not just like, oh, he's going to walk a lot of guys, but where he spots pitches in the strike zone made us hesitant to buy in early in the season. It seemed like he had remedied that because by going fastball up, splitter in the zone, he had kind of given himself a little bit of a cushion. But the fastball command in the last start was not great. And it's 2 poor starts now for a pitcher we thought was turning the corner.
Well, he did have a 67% strike rate on that 4-seamer, to be fair, but you're right, inside the zone, that the splitter and the 4-seamer clumped together down in arm side, or really middle arm side. And that's not what you want from Taj Bradley. You want those 4-seamers upstairs, and then you want those splitters underneath that. He actually had that against the Marlins, and he did get some bad luck, but the 2 pitches that were hit at, one on from Berger and another one that was a 3-2 splitter, actually, that was something else, was like, all right, those are bad pitches. But there was one high heater that I'm just like, what? How did you do this? That's fine. I can't remember who it was. Someone did it. It was stupid. Anyway, it was dumb. So Taj Bradley overall is not so far away from it. We've seen him even in this good stretch have some bad days, and I'm not ready to completely remove him from it. The entirety of this tier really, say for Garrett Cole and Luis Heel have had issues lately. Max Fried not looking good, shaking off the rust from his IL stint. Then again, it's Max Fried, and he generally has like 2 or 3 starts, and bam, a Max Fried, and it's amazing.
And Coors, 9 strikeouts, but Coors is not great.
You have Robbie Ray, who did well in his last start, but watching the game was it was interesting. The strike zone plot in the end looked good, but watching it felt very hit or miss with everything that he was throwing, and his ability to execute when he wanted to execute not locked in quite yet. And Pablo Lopez, who just had a really bad outing. I talked to him. He was pretty much like, oh yeah, I've already tweaked what was wrong there. I did not feel connected with my mechanics at all. I was fighting it the entire game. Did a bullpen, felt much better. He feels ready to go for tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Obviously, I didn't want to move him based on it. So I just felt one bad game, like whatever, one night bland. We move on with Pablo Lopez. Before those guys, they have this tier. Yeah, you got something to prove here, and we'll see how it goes next start. I think all 4 of them should be better.
Yep. Fingers crossed for some of those guys as well, who I have on far too many teams. Tier number 4 starts with number 25, Seth Lugo, number 26, Ronald Blanco, number 27, Sonny Gray, number 28, Carlos Rodon, number 29, Justin Steele, number 30, Logan Webb, number 31, Framber Valdez, number 32, Zach Eflin, number 33, Freddie Peralta, and number 34, Garrett Crochet. What's this tier called, and why is it called that?
This one's going to be Calexico. Calexico is a popular option here in Brooklyn. It's just great. It's just well done Tex-Mex. And oftentimes I find myself just ordering from there with my friends. So
what does your Tex-Mex go to?
It goes back and forth with them. I generally love their carnitas quesadilla. That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Love some Tex-Mex. I don't love what I've been seeing recently from Ronald Blanco. I know that, there hasn't been any like awful start. 8 straight starts, allowing at least 2 runs. The last 4 starts, even though there's been some strikeouts mixed in there, and listen, facing Boston, the Mariners, the Dodgers, the Rays, there are good hitters in those lineups, even though they're not like, as good as the Dodgers, banged up and whatever, but he has surpassed his career innings high. Is it possible we're just seeing, this 30-year-old who was a tremendous story in the season start to wear down a little bit?
Man, I didn't realize. I had no warning signs personally in my head. Like when I do the roundup, I'm generally trying to see like, okay, what is it? How's it going start for start and everything? Like the last 2 starts before this one against Boston, it was a 39% CSW and a 33% CSW. Like still had 16 strikeouts in those 2. The one against Boston, sure, it was kind of weird against Boston. Okay, fine. Thing is, across all of these 8 games, he has a 46% ICR, and the lowest of his pitches is the slider at 44. The slider is at 47. The change it to 55, and that is startling. That is a little bit of a surprise. I might be lowering him a little because of that. At the same time, from what I've seen from him, it still is this really good slider as a foundation. In his last start against the Red Sox, it wasn't there. It was just 11 sliders. It's a very strange outing to see that from Blanco. Not to mention, it wasn't like it was just so bad. Like I don't really know why he turned away from it as much as he did. Went to more curveballs and sliders, which is just so strange. And over the course of the season, what I've generally seen is sliders and changeups are this really good strike earning pitches for him, and then the 4-seamer is this nibbling of a pitch. Like he doesn't want a ball in play on that pitch. So it might be something that I'm overlooking here about Blanco, that, yeah, he is not getting the same fortune that he did earlier on this season. The ICR, again, 39% for the entire, 41% for the entire season, but 47 over that stretch is a real concern, especially when he has a 204 BABIP on the entire season. So, yeah, that might be something that I'm underweighing here. And with this in mind, I might be putting him closer to Justin Steele. A little bit further down, putting Sonny Gray, Carlos Rodon, Seth Lugo above. Even though Seth Lugo hasn't been very great either, guys. I think he has like 26 strikeouts in those last 40 games or 40 innings or something like that, which is just, oh boy, Seth Lugo. Oh no. not quite what you want there. But yeah, maybe Sonny Gray Rodon definitively above Blanco is something I might do actually before I hit the publish button.
Ooh, little sneak peek for everybody over here. Should we talk about these Zach Eflin changes? They're a little interesting. I know a lot was made early on about, the cutter usage changing a little bit as he went to the Orioles. And then there was a start where against a more right-handed heavy lineup, he really kind of leaned into the sinker more against righties than he had been. But the biggest change across these collected starts is like a huge uptick in his changeup, which PLV likes in terms of the grade. The grade is a well above average for changeups. We haven't seen it, do a lot because on the season it's still just 4.4% usage. Not missing a ton of bats, but it does not give up hard contact. Are you seeing any meaningful changes here, or are these just kind of like little things that deepen the arsenal a little bit to make Eflin just a little bit more of that kitchen sink arm?
Absolutely. And I'm going to answer all of that after this break. Got him. Now, you guys are watching this YouTube right now. We edited this out. But yeah, every time you can maybe see Eric's face as he goes, oh, man. Oh, I wanted that one.
I was going to wait till after,
I know, but it's, it's right around the 20 mark. It's right around the 20 mark. Okay.
I get it. You're right. It was you know what? You caught him off guard. It's good.
I did. I caught them all off guard. And of course, guys, what you don't know is that I have to put in the show sheets and I have to send the stuff to Adam Howe. And I'm doing that right now because we didn't do that. And where is this StreamYard link? Oh, it's over here. And got to put that over here. We got to put the list name and the theme. And, I'm taking care of all of it for Eric because he didn't do it. And I'm just kidding. It's usually me. Bailey Over is the name of the list. The theme is the takeouts in New York. Oh, yeah. Okay. You ready? Here we go. Yes. So what I'm really seeing from Zach Eflin, now that he's a part of the Orioles, is honestly just pitching for a better club that wins itself is just, oh, cool. I'm getting locked in now with how I used to pitch, like with my cutter getting 7 whiffs now all of a sudden. The changeup, yeah, maybe there is a little bit more. I mean, I trust you on the mixing it up guy to know that one. But yeah, I am seeing that now, right? 16% usage on the 3rd, 13% on the 9th of August, while before we hadn't seen him eclipse 7% previously. I do think that Eflin is at his best when he has everything working, right? When he has all of these options. He really turned into like just a curveball guy at times this year. I'm pretty much seeing Eflin as like, look, you're on the Orioles now. They are better, I think, like manipulating Eflin a bit for his situation. That's great. He's in a comfortable place. He's gonna be fine the rest of the way. Just throw him there. He's in the Holly tier. And really, when you look at these tiers, there are like, man, it was so tough discerning at the bottom of this tier. You have 2 ace potential guys who are just like, what is going on? I had to separate them from the tier 5 ace potential guys. You have these tier 6s that are safer, but like I kind of like them more than some of them in tier 5. But then there's tier 7 who's also really exciting. What do? I don't know. And I was just like, Eflin is fine. Just stick him here, 32. Let's move on. That was it.
What's it going to take for you to move Garrett Crochet down?
So this is so frustrating because I really think the White Sox were just going to let him go. And then he just had to, because they just messed him up the past month. I watched this one. The 4-seamer is stupid good. It's still stupid good. And he allowed 4 home runs. Do you guys think he's going to allow 4 home runs again? Oh, no? Great. Me neither. It was really like one of those games. And I don't think that Garrett Crochet is bad now. I think he's still great.
Sure.
It's really tough because, again, tier 5, I'm looking at this, and I don't think there's a definitive guy in tier 5 that you think is going to be just great the rest of the way. There really just isn't. And there's an idea that I think I certainly get trapped into myself where because as a guy who's just not doing well right now as an ace, and because just the results just have been whatever, I need to do something about it. However, it's implying that everyone below is a lock, is that thing. And none of those guys below have the ceiling of Garrett Crochet. None of them. Yeah. It's just how it is. And then you sit down and you say, okay, fine. The guy has been limited for a month now. Do we really think he's going to be limited for 2 more months? Like that just is, what's the point, kind of? And
Well,
I don't think it's
I
just
think
going to
that
be.
might be the case.
You think it's going to be
That's my
65, 70
concern.
pitches every single game now for Garrett Crochet?
I think there's my fear is that we just hit September and they're like, I get you're dumb.
Yep.
And I get that,
that.
like your rankings are, because you change them week to week, you're not giving people rest of season rankings, right? If you were,
Right.
you
Well,
might
it's
say,
a balance.
right,
Again,
you
it's
might,
always a hard thing. You say that, and at the same time, it's also like if I'm drafting today.
right.
But I'm also doing this where I don't have to gamble all the way saying it's definitively this or definitively that. I'm saying right now, though, I think we have to lean into, look, we still don't have clarity. And because we don't have clarity, I have to weigh the potential of this actually being normal Garrett Crochet again moving forward. The performance, it's really annoying to me that he just happened to have his bad night the last outing, because I think that was going to be the clarifying start of how long are you actually going to be able to go in a game. So here we are. I'm still stuck in this purgatory because you happen to allow 4 home runs that I don't really know what your leash is right now. And again, I'm looking at the other ones and I'm like, look, if I didn't think he had a leash, he would still be in the top 20. That's how we are with Garrett Crochet. So it's not as if this ranking isn't acknowledging it. It is acknowledging that those underneath in tier 5 just don't have the same tangible ceiling that Garrett Crochet does.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. There's no pushback there. I just get a little worried about what the role is going forward. But
I mean,
like
of course,
we don't know.
I do
We don't
too.
know.
Again, it's not. This isn't a where you want to put him based on that worry. It's up to you. Ultimately, this is where I settled on it.
Yeah. Not a lot of workload or rotation spot worries here in tier number 5, but starts with number 35, Yusei Kikuchi, number 36, Brian Woo, number 37, Zach Gallen, number 38, Spencer Schwellenbach, number 39, Tanner Bybee, number 40, Hunter Brown, number 41, Ryan Pepio, number 42, Bryce Miller, number 43, Shane Bass. What's the tier called? Why is it called that?
This is going to be Szechuan Delight, which is my Chinese food place. Their dumplings are the legit.
I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to.
Noodles are really good too.
I was waiting for you to.
Now Chinese food joints can be kind of. Sometimes you're like, is this gonna work tonight? Is this actually gonna, is everything all right with my stomach and stuff? Sometimes, it can be. You don't always know, but no, Szechuan Delight. If you go there, that's an ace potential, and that could be very solid.
Love a good Chinese food order. It's kind of like a real good go-to. And you can specify, right? You can have different Chinese foods that specialize in different things. Love it.
Yep.
We got to talk about Yusei Kikuchi here. We talked about Zach Eflin changing his pitch mix a little bit with a new team. We've got Yusei Kikuchi leaning into the slider like heavily with the Astros. I feel like that's something you're probably a fan of.
Well, I mean, he was starting to lean into it before he came to the Astros. The interesting thing actually was swapping out the curveball and keeping the changeup alive. And the first start, we saw the slider and the changeup both located down. It was lovely. And then the last one, he still had a lot of strikeouts and it was fine, except that the changeup was really bad. And it was a lot more chaotic. So I'm still a little bit in purgatory here with Kikuchi, more encouraged because there is at least 4-seamer slider as a main focus now. And the 4-seamer, I think, is the only 4-seamer. I think the slider is much better than the other 2 pitches. So to see those 2 around is a good thing. And I think over time is just get more comfortable, new squad, everything. He should be good the rest of the way.
Okay. Do you see the I can't quite want to really believe in Shane Bass. I do.
Yeah, I know.
That slider, as you mentioned, is just not the same. And I think it's giving him the splits versus lefties. When I looked it up, and I'll look it up again as we're recording this, we're not great right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that he's the guy that we had seen before, which shouldn't surprise me because, he missed a whole year.
Right.
It's just a 426 slugging percentage against lefties, mildly concerning compared to a 309 slugging percentage against righties. I know we're talking about small sample sizes here, but the damage, right? Like the damage in contact, he allows a higher batting average against righties, but the damage in contact has come against lefties so far. I feel like not having the pitch that we had believed was his best pitch prior to this year is a little bit impactful in, his ability to really kind of limit this kind of hard contact.
Sure. So this last game against the Cardinals, I mean, I'm just really like looking at this game by game here. Reds, Astros look great in both, right? We had the curveball working against the Reds, slider working against the Astros. Things are cool. The Cardinals game, watched it. He got bamboozled in the first. Didn't really have good command. He didn't really turn to his breaking balls at all. It was just really trying to use the four-seamer to get out of it. Didn't work. Most of his damage was pretty much just in that first inning and settled down and was fine after that. I'm not ready to just kind of move on at this point from Shane Baz because of it. I think the gains he had in that July 26th start and the August 2nd start, very good and positive, and really that one inning kind of messed him up, and it doesn't mean that he's just lost those two things. So he's still here at this place. Generally at the bottom of a tier or at the start of a tier is a really tough call for me, and especially when you have the bottom of an ace is going to ace tier followed by a Holly tier, because I couldn't put Shane Baz in that one. But I also felt like I had to favor Shane Baz over like Brian Bayo and Clayton Kershaw and Merrill Kelly. And so because of that, I have him at 43. I could understand putting him around like 54, 55 with Arrighetti, Buehler, Pivetta, that kind of thing. Totally understand that. I have a little bit more faith. I think that Shane Baz, it still has a really, really good fastball that you just kind of had a wonky first inning with. And I think the breakers, one of those are going to be working a given night. So I'm putting him at 43.
Okay. I get that. I respect it. I hope your optimism comes through.
Me too.
I love the Bryce Miller quote, which has nothing to do with him pitching, but I did just want to share it here because it's a little catcher love, that he says that sometimes when Cal Raleigh's calling pitches and Bryce Miller shakes him off, Cal either doesn't put anything else down or puts the same thing back down and just waits until Bryce Miller just does what he wants. And I love it. I respect it. And you just better hope it's the right pitch after you do that.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
big fan though.
Yeah, I am and I'm not, because like
of course you're not.
Decision. It's sure. Like I don't care. Like this is my neck is on the line, and if I don't feel comfortable throwing that thing, I'm gonna tell you. Okay.
Sure. So step off, and I'll come out and be like, "What's up?" And you're just like, "I don't feel it right now." Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to have to waste that. That's a mound visit.
Maybe, but also I guess if I'm calling things based on how you looked, in the bullpen and how you looked in the first few innings, then just trust me, man. It looks like a good pitch. It's the right one to throw here.
Yeah, trust goes both ways, Eric.
It's true. It does. Tier number 6 starts with number 44, Gavin Williams. Number 45, Jeffrey Springs. Number 46, Kevin Gossman. Number 47, Christopher Sanchez. Number 48, back on the list, it's Joe Musgrove. Number 49, Tyler Anderson. Number 50, Tobias Myers. It's crazy that those two are in the top 50. Number 51, Merrill Kelly. Number 52, Clayton Kershaw. And number 53, new Papa, Brian Bayo. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
Ooh, so we're getting to like, all right, fine. No one can decide. We're just gonna get Ty.
Okay.
We're just gonna get some Pat CU up in here. Okay.
Which is funny because that is the number one go-to in my house because it's my wife's absolute favorite.
There you go. There it is.
My wife loves Thai food. Little glass noodle, little Singapore noodle, I mean, just whatever place will, there's a bunch of places that do a variation of that. Big fan.
Love it.
Are you a big fan of Joe Musgrove still? I know we don't know what we're gonna see, and obviously
I wrestled with this a ton.
A course start is not great.
The Holly at the end of the day has been every time he really pitches. Obviously, he went through a lot this season. I'm expecting it to be kind of the first game. It's against the Pirates today. It's still ill in my view, but I feel like Joe Musgrove, if he's pitching right now, he's good to go. So
velocity was up in the minor rehab starts. It wasn't like he wasn't throwing. He didn't go out there and make 6 rehab starts. You know what I mean? But like velocity was up, which could signal some health. That's also always good
absolutely.
To see.
So we can the best here, and honestly, is in the middle of tier 6, which is surrounded by like Tyler Anderson, who has a 19% strikeout rate, but it's up to 28% in the last 6 games. So okay, Tobias Myers, who's been absurd, and I don't really buy it. It's kind of a Vargas rule, but let's be honest, Tobias Myers is making this work. His four-seamer has ultra good verts. His changeup, I think, is really filthy off of it. And he nibbles pretty effectively. Like, it's a varied arsenal. guys are just struggling to figure out what's coming. It's weird. And it's pretty cool from Tobias Myers. So good stuff there. Merrill Kelly, I mean, you look at Joe Musgrove and Merrill Kelly, it's like Merrill Kelly didn't get any whiffs on his stuff, but he's fine. That's what I'm getting at, is like Joe Musgrove should be as good as that, if not having a little bit better ceiling. Clayton Kershaw is not the old Clayton Kershaw. He's fine. And then there's Brian Bayo, who, yes, he drops minus 14, it looks like here. But really, it's not. Honestly, I didn't even realize that it was minus 14, but I still think he's great. I think he's a solid, solid Holly the rest of the way with changeup, slider, and fastball. That he just needs more time to really have that trio working, and he'll be good.
Yeah. Just keep an eye out on that on the Brian Bayo reinstatement from the paternity list game tonight. That new dad energy. You might get a real doozy of a start from Brian Bayo. But yeah, we're both hoping that he kind of puts it all together there. And yeah, seeing Tyler Anderson and Tobias Myers in the middle here is wild, and a great example with Tobias Myers that sometimes pitchers can be DFA'd, other organizations can give up on them. And why would you send me that? I hate you.
I just found out literally right now.
But the Tobias Myers point is just like, sometimes people can, organizations can unlock something. So just because somebody is a journeyman or hasn't been given an opportunity doesn't mean that they, can't have some success.
Right. And what I sent Eric here, because we're doing this around like 4:45, and I haven't actually published the list quite yet. So around 4:15, it looks like that DL Hall was optioned to AAA. I don't know why. But I have to figure that out on the list. I have him on the list right now, and looking at this rotation, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have a spot currently, so I guess I'm taking him off the list, and I'll pretty much add, I think, Yariel Rodriguez to the end of it. There was one other guy that I was considering also at the end of the list. But yeah, it's going to be either him or Bailey Falter. Maybe Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yariel's been.
We'll get there later.
Chat about it. Yariel's been good though. Yeah, DL Hall. Listen, the velocity was up, and
he was really cool.
I'm still a believer in him long term. I think that he can be a starting pitcher. He's just 25, so he'll be 26 next year. Hopefully fully healthy. And yeah, we'll cross our fingers and see. But yeah, that is a bummer.
It's an absolute bummer. But that is not the tier we're going to be talking about now.
It's not. That tier is further down. We're starting our tier with not a bummer, but just a guy who's really flying, just soaring to new heights more recently. And that starts with number 54, Spencer Arrighetti. Number 55, Walker Buehler. Number 56, Nick Pivetta. Number 57, without throwing an MLB pitch, it's Zebby Matthews. Number 58, Cutter Crawford. Number 59, Tanner Houck. Number 60, Nick Lodolo. Number 61, Jake Irvin. Number 62, Grant Holmes. Number 63, Brady Singer. And number 64, Edward Cabrera. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
Well, I mean, come on. Leading off, it's the Pasta Pirate.
It is.
So this is your Italian. Obviously your tier. And the thing about Italian food in New York is it's kind of difficult because like a lot of the Italian you get can be super, super expensive. And it's just, you don't really want to do that for delivery. But you can also do some like pizza places actually have good pasta too.
Yeah.
And it's about finding out which ones are the right ones. This is why it's the cherry bomb tier too, because like you don't know if there's going to be quality pasta or not.
I will say I have found it hard to land on an Italian place for delivery.
Yeah.
That I really like. It is. It's very difficult. What's not difficult is appreciating the work of Spencer Arrighetti. 13 strikeouts against the Red Sox over the weekend. This really continues like a trend that, I mean, there were some hiccups here and there, but we've seen almost 2 months of strong work from Arrighetti. The last 2 starts in particular have been absolutely lights out. What are you seeing? I mean, I think that this kind of like increase in curveball usage that we've seen has been nice for him. I know that you like the way it pairs with the cutter. You've written about that, but I think this is like a deeper arsenal than I thought at the beginning.
Right. This is a guy who's acting like a kitchen sink pitcher. And I'm a big fan of kitchen sink pitchers who have whiffs. And you say, Nick, he's only thrown the sweeper 10% of the time, and the changeup 10% of the time in the last one. That's very fair. But then last time out before that, it was 17% usage on the changeup. And watching this one against the Red Sox, it was a little weird because he didn't get any strikeouts until the end of the second, and he had 13 strikeouts. I mean, he went on a absolute tear through the seventh inning after, like 5 innings of just, I think it was 12 strikeouts, which is crazy. And I did see a four-seamer that missed a lot of bats and got a lot of strikes. 72% strike rate on his four-seamer is a big deal because when Arrighetti gets strikes on four-seamers and then also has some supplement in his secondary stuff, that's when the whiffs appear. And that's when these really good games show up. Like playing off the cutter with the four-seamer and everything is fantastic. He had some nice sweepers in there, some nice curveballs. That's really the world of Arrighetti. And keep in mind, he had 7 whiffs on those 18 combined changeups and sweepers. So it's not like those are just afterthoughts. That's 7 of his whiffs. That's a third of his whiffs were on those 20% of pitches. So with Arrighetti, you got to take a chance at this point. I don't know if I really buy that he has enough control. I feel less solid about Arrighetti than I do Spencer Schwellenbach, Mr. Crescendo, because Schwellenbach's command is way better. It is more consistent than Spencer Arrighetti's. Still, the ceiling is clearly like right there in front of you, and it's kind of funny, Eric. There are a couple guys like Schwellenbach's like one of them. Arrighetti's one of them. I think there are a couple others that I'm just forgetting right now. But where we see a guy come up a young arm and we go, oh man, there's something here, but we don't know if it's going to be there now, if it's going to be later on. When he actually throws enough strikes with this stuff and is able to get an opportunity, he will have these ridiculous games. And here we are with Spencer Schwellenbach and Spencer Arrighetti doing that.
Yeah. And they were not. We had some flashier pitching prospects come up and not succeed as well. And some of that is related to command and some of that is related to depth of arsenal. If you want to talk about depth of arsenal, we could talk about Zebby Matthews, and we'll do that after this break.
Nicely done, Eric. See, guys, we're proud of him. Proud of him. I had the opportunity. He gave it to me, and I didn't seize the day.
Yeah.
I didn't seize it.
Well, I was on the Roto World news shift today when the news was announced that they were promoting Zebby Matthews. So I did, a little bit of deep diving. I'm going to I'm writing him up in mixing it up on Wednesday after I watched the start on Tuesday. But basically, it looks like what we're going to get from Zebby Matthews. It's a pretty true 5-pitch mix. It's led by a fastball that he can run up to 98, which is like pretty impressive because I believe when he entered professional baseball, he was throwing like 92. So the Twins have really kind of helped his development there. Also, this year, he tweaked his sweeper and split it into 2 pitches, like a slider and a harder cutter. That has deepened the arsenal and been really effective for him. The big thing, I mean, this is 114 strikeouts to 7 walks on the season.
Yeah.
He has a 1.9% walk rate. He has a 16.3 K to walk ratio. I mean, it's the lowest in minor league baseball. Like, he's been getting hit a little hard at AAA, so this isn't like this guy's going to come up and crush. But this is a pitcher who has true 5 pitches, which you just talked about. Schwellenbach, you just talked about Arrighetti. Guys who throw strikes and have a deep arsenal of pitches can get success out of that. And so who knows how many starts Zebby Matthews is going to get to showcase that. But there's something to be intrigued about.
Absolutely. I did a 40-second breakdown video on Twitter this morning just to showcase, look, four-seamer last start he had was 17 inches of IVB, which is so nice. A vert on that fastball. It was a 121, I think, Fan 4 Plus, if you're using our Today's Four-Seamer app. And if you are, that means you're a PL Pro member, which is awesome. Thank you so much for supporting what we do. But seriously, you also have actually the MILB pitch card that Kyle Lilly just updated today, so you can actually see all of his pitches and their movement for minor leaguers. And yeah, there's a lot of really interesting selection from Zebby Matthews, an Arsenal with a good IVB four-seamer, really good slider. We're talking like a 5.6 PLV, 5.6, which is excellent. That certainly plays in the majors. Lots of separation from that four-seamer. A true bridge cutter, to use Kyle Bland's phrase, because it was right in between, not like a blur between any of them. It is its own separate thing in between for strikes. That's great. And then there's even a curveball, right? That is lots of drop as well. And doing that with, as you said, what was it, 7 walks? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I see this as someone who has whiff potential, who has volume potential, because fewer walks means going deeper into games, which means higher chance of wins.
Sure.
And I see kitchen sink, which is essentially what I'm saying I like, is these young guys with kitchen sinks actually can control it and with ability. Like, wait, hold on. I'm very much in on Zebby Matthews. I think everybody should be picking him up now. With Joe Ryan stepping away for a bit with injury, Zebby Matthews gets the call, and I think there's going to be a test between him and Louis Varland, right? Who is going to succeed here? I think it's going to be Zebby Matthews.
Right.
So with the Twins fighting for this playoff spot here, yeah, you're going to see Zebby Matthews in this rotation. I'm pretty excited about it.
Twins rotation with Zebby Matthews, David Festa, and Simeon Woods-Richardson, which we never would have thought. Before we move to another tier, I do have to ask you, is it happening for Edward Cabrera? Is it happening,
hope so.
Nick?
I hope so. Because his last start, is he going today? No, he's not going today. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I wasn't missing anything for is it happening? Yeah, I mean, 3 straight games of 200 runs total, which is pretty cool. In his last start against the Padres as well, he went 54% changeups.
Yeah.
With 25% fastballs. Now, no slider. Gone. Edward, I don't know why. I really like that slider. I think it's really good and helpful for you. It's kind of why I think the strikeouts are only 4 of them, because just that extra one, that's what we need. Four-seamer still not a strike pitch. What do you know? Under 50% four-seamer and sinker strike rates. But we got 70% on the curveball, 63% on the changeup. It's a really hard changeup to hit. I mean, it's shocking. I know. One with 93 mile per hour velocity. It was 17% swing strike rate, 30% ICR. Like, it's a really good pitch. So throwing that over half the time, yeah, you're gonna have a good time with Edward Cabrera. I feel like we're at a good moment, and I'm in.
Yeah, we got to cross our fingers and hope. I would love to see that slider back, as you said, and get some of that strikeout upside back. It was a really rough last start for number 65, who starts tier number 8. It's Chris Bassett. Number 66, Nestor Cortez. Number 67, Mitch Keller. Number 68, Brandon Pfaadt. Number 69, Eduardo Rodriguez. And number 70, Sean Manaea. What's this tier called? And why is it called that?
This is a tough one. So what happens a lot, I think, in New York is that we're moving. We got things to do.
Yep, we do.
And it's like, oh man, I gotta get a bite somewhere. And first off, you say we went to pizza, but I just don't want the pizza. And you gotta be careful. It's always there, but isn't necessarily the thing you always want to do. This is the hot dog truck. Okay. The thing is, we've got good hot dogs here.
Sure.
They are legitimately good. You just got to be careful, because sometimes it's like, that's a dirty dog, and you don't want to have those.
Sure.
But it's all right if you guys go and just get a quick hot dog. It's always there for you. I'm
more of a street meat guy if I'm going to a truck.
Yeah.
I like this. I like the street meat.
Sure.
For people that don't know that, it's kind of like it's almost like it's like a halal truck, like on top of rice. Meat on top of rice, bunch of sauces, makes your stomach feel like absolute garbage, but it tastes great. Kind of like how I feel about a lot of these guys. Sometimes makes your stomach feel like garbage, starting any of Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez, Sean Manaea, but sometimes they look great. Pfaadt and Rodriguez get Colorado at home. Manaea has been pitching great, gets Miami. I don't know. These are all guys I feel like I get what you're saying, like pitch them while they're hot. There are some risks here, but it's working right now.
These are Toby's. I mean, Bassett, I feel like you just can't really remove yourself from. Nestor Cortez isn't looking very good, but he gets you wins. Mitch Keller, I don't really love, but whatever. Brandon Pfaadt is getting his command in order, and it's like he's the one I think that's gone back and forth the most this entire year. Is he a Toby? Is he a streamer? Is he not? Is he this? And the changeup has waken up maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're going to say and there. What do you got?
Well, I was going to say, and the Diamondbacks have said we are not using a 6-man rotation. And so it has to be one of Ryan Nelson and Brandon Pfaadt are losing that rotation spot.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Yes and no. Because is Jordan Montgomery going to be good enough?
But they paid him. They paid him all that money.
I know, but he also has incentive laden, I think, too, in there. But I do want to mention Ryan Nelson's been so good, and we're going to talk about in tier 9.
Yeah.
And it was a quote that said pretty much, we're going to see how it plays out and like figure it out and go from there. Like our intention isn't to ride with it.
Sure.
I think they're going to see like, okay, just give it a week to see how everyone is and like seeing if there's a clear way of doing this. But I mean, with Pfaadt, I feel has earned this. There's no way you take Pfaadt out of this unless you're really concerned about innings or something like that from him, which I don't think you are. So Pfaadt's here, and then Eduardo Rodriguez, he's a Toby. I mean, he didn't really impress me in the first one, but like, yeah, sure, whatever. And Shum and I had a bad game, and he's weird, but he should be fine. He gets Miami.
He does. The aforementioned Ryan Nelson does start tier 9. The number 71, number 72 is DL Hall. Probably won't be DL Hall by the time you listen to this on a podcast. Number 73, JP Sears. Number 74, David Festa. And number 75, the Boyd boys are back. It's Matthew Boyd. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This tier is called your favorite deli. And and actually I really want to emphasize it's not really your favorite one. It is a deli because
your closest deli.
And pretty much you're exploring all of them. Delis it's so strange to me. They really vary in quality. It's so vast. Like some of them are like legitimate sandwich institutions that are like, oh man, you go to this place, they make the best bacon, egg, and cheese or the best or whatever, right? They do it correctly. And then there's some where it's like, this is stale bread. This doesn't have good ingredients. And the whole thing is just like, oh, what? I don't know what that is. I guess, sure. I don't know what we have today. Let's go find out in the back if I have a hard-boiled egg or something, right? Like it's like it's so varied, but a good deli that's done right. Oh man, it is a lovely, lovely thing. So these are the Spice Girls, right? These are the ones that are, look, Ryan Nelson, his four-seamer is just cooking in top third of the zone. When he gets in the top third of the zone, that pitch is so hard to hit. The last start we saw in Ryan Nelson actually do some things also with a cutter and slider like I dreamed of in March. And I really hope that that continues. He gets those opportunities. JP Sears, he's throwing fastballs upstairs and actually consistently doing it. Finally, and getting whiffs on it. Like this is what we've been waiting forever on. And I'm finally 3 starts. I'm going, well, hold on a second. I'm doing like the Andre the Giant meme of him in the wrestling ring. Then we have David Festa, who didn't look so good in his last one, but I think really the 3-pitch mix of fastball, changeup, slider should be good. But
and it looked good until the second time through the order, and he struggled a little bit.
He didn't throw enough sliders, honestly, in my view. But what I'm really getting at with Festa is we know that this should be there.
Yeah,
that this is a good example of like the Schwellenbach Arrighetti thing. We know at some point this is going to just snap into place, right? And then Matthew Boyd. I have no idea what to expect here. It's probably too high, honestly, for Matthew Boyd.
No,
but
lean in.
Boyd. I mean, I don't just lean in for the sake of leaning in. Like Jose Quintana, Martin Perez, those are actually decent streams this week. And like you're going to get value on that one. When Matthew Boyd you're not going to start him this week. You don't really need to stash him. I'm very curious to see how he looks, though, of course.
But I think like in deeper formats, especially in AL only leagues, but even in 15-team leagues, I mean, listen, a 0.83 ERA in 27 and 2/3 innings during his rehab start with 27 strikeouts and 2 walks. Also running the fastball up over 93 miles an hour. Like we've seen him be a successful major league pitcher before. And if he's healthy and pitching for a good organization, there's no reason why he can't join that Quintana, Martin Perez, tier of guys, not just because they're left-handed pitchers, but because that would be kind of who Boyd is. And in a weak AL Central, we get some matchups against the White Sox in here, like get some Tigers matchups. We love a little bit of this, we get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like get your deli. We'll start tier 10 with those guys. It's number 76, Jose Quintana, number 77, Martin Perez, number 78, Ben Lively, number 79, Kyle Gibson, number 80, Eric Fetty, and number 81, Marcus Stroman. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
We've got to go in for this one And I'll tell you that after its break. Did I say after its break? I'm pretty sure I did.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah. After this break. See, Adam, you're going to add that in because you're great. Okay, so I had one and I forgot it. Hi, everyone. This is what actually happens. Let me think about this. I mean, there's that food that could go with that. Oh, okay. This is fine. All right.
I don't want to give you suggestions, but I have some.
No, don't give me suggestions. No. All right. So this is, here's the thing. New York is a great place. New York's got all this variety, but sometimes you're just like, I just want a burger. Is Five Guys open? Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always there. You don't always feel awesome about it, but Five Guys is good. Maybe Shake Shack. You could even throw in there too if you're a Shake Shack guy. So those are the two I would kind of go with, because look, these guys are good for a stream or two. Really, they're Toby's. They're like a little bit of a step up from the other options on the wire. They might actually be around longer than just one matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it gets the job done.
Can I tell you, there was a Shake Shack where we lived in Williamsburg for like 8 years. We never went in there once, and I like Shake Shack. But props to Dumont Burger on Bedford in Williamsburg. Dumont Burger, go. Crushing it. Great burgers. Good milkshakes too, if you want to really lean in for it. Yeah, I feel like we kind of talked about these guys. We know who these guys are, these lefties, these right-handed versions of lefties like Kyle Gibson and Eric Fetty. And yeah, you said everything you need to say. So we'll go on to tier 11.
There you go.
Which is Jose Soriano, number 82. Then number 83, Luis Severino. Number 84, Hayden Birdsong. Number 85, Tyler Malley. Number 86, Andrew Abbott. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
Ooh, so this is for I'm gonna go with I was actually gonna do it when I realized I already did it, which is so wonderful. Mm-hmm. Why am I running out of ideas? No, I don't need your help, Eric. I'm a very creative person.
I'm here.
I'm gonna go on. I know it's not quite takeout, but really New York City actually does have potlucks, and they have public ones, and I would say that's a pretty much of a high upside play. But you gotta have a little backup. You gotta have a little, like, a little bar in your bag or something like that, just in case. But yeah, I would say the potluck, the New York City potluck, is tier 11, because you don't know what you're gonna get.
Okay, respect that. Let's talk about Hayden Birdsong, because we mentioned him a little bit before. Obviously, he had the sparkling ERA. The ratios looked really good. The trade of Alex Cobb kind of gave Birdsong a rotation spot. He has not been good since then. And you and I kind of addressed that, like, the command was a little bit of a concern in those early starts that made us think that maybe the surface level stats we were seeing were not indicative of who he is. Now, I still think he's a solid pitching prospect. I just think there are issues that need to be ironed out, in particular command.
Yeah. Birdsong didn't throw his curveball for a bit, threw lots of curveballs against the Rockies for 2 starts, threw it again in the third one, but then didn't spot it as well. And then also slider was gone, and 4-seamer, guess what? Still not a high strike pitch. And then his most recent one, yeah, it was all just hung upstairs and the locations were bad. I'm like, oh yeah, right. This is what we're dealing with Birdsong. It's a little frustrating that the 4-seamer, despite its velocity 96 or and change, it has moments, but it's not one of those that, oh cool, as long as he just throws that for strikes, everything's good. I don't truly believe that. So you throw that into the mix too. He really needs to be a Stuff McNasty. If you guys were at First Pitch Arizona 2019, where I outlined the guys that have 2 good secondaries and a questionable fastball. And that's what Birdsong needs to be. It's not just the curveball. So he has to have a slider that throws for strikes as well. It's risky. He's a pure cherry bomb at the moment.
Yeah. Listen, I have a soft spot for Tyler Malley. So I would even have ranked him higher. But I'm curious what you thought. Did you watch the first start? What did you think of everything?
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, it's Tyler Malley, to me, hasn't really showcased the longest track record of being like, no, I'm going to be good. Everything's fine.
Agreed.
And coming back from Tommy John for this, like, it doesn't really look overwhelmingly good, in my view. Nothing that is like a Tarek Skubal return to form and more. So given the tough matchups this week, given that there isn't much time left for a guy like Malley to really make a massive imprint, I'm just saying, all right, maybe it does click into place. That's cool. You can throw away the first start, but it's tough opponents this week. And I don't really feel like I'm in a position where I need to go for that. Then I'd rather just play the streaming game with Quintana or Perez or something along those lines in many cases.
I get that. I definitely bit the bullet and took some shares of Maui for the 2-start week. It was against the Red Sox and the Twins, and I know the matchups aren't great, but again, this is my weakness, my soft spot, where it's like, I would put him around Ryan Nelson only not because of anything he's earned so far, but because of my but he's better than the Quintana, Martin Perez types, and maybe he's not. And I guess we'll see starting tonight when he faces off against Brian Bayo in that new Papa game. We'll do tier number 12 now, which rounds out as our streaming tier. Starts with number 87, Will Warren. Number 88, Michael Wacha. 89, Jose Barrios. 90, Jordan Montgomery. 91, Albert Suarez. 92, Nick Martinez. 93, David Peterson. 94, Tyler Phillips. 95, Cody Bradford. 96, Kevin Stone. 97, Paul Blackburn. 98, Bowden Francis. Number 99, Charlie Morton. And 100, Osvaldo Bido. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This one is going to be the smoothie. And it's one of those that this is not a like, oh man, I'm so excited. I'm going to plan to get my smoothie for a meal or something. It's like, oh boy. Okay. I need something right now. Where's a smoothie place? Can I get something? All right, cool. That's the name of this tier. It's just streamers, and smoothies fit this perfectly.
Yeah, I love a little smoothie in the morning. I have to say, the only thing I will just point out, nowhere did you mention Indian food. And I think
the thing is, me and cumin are not friends.
Oh, you don't go for
it. It is the devil spice. I cannot touch cumin. I understand that completely for a lot of people. Also, Japanese food. I'm actually katsudon is amazing. I meant to get that one in here. I can't touch cumin. And so unfortunately, Indian food is off the table.
I love sushi too, but it's not a great delivery. But sushi would have been on there. And then my wife would kill me if I didn't say pho. My wife loves pho.
Sure.
Yeah, but another thing that like delivery pho for me, it's not great.
Yeah, sure. I got you.
Right. There are a couple guys on here. I just want to throw out their names because I think either recently or in the past, or in the more recent past. I'm not talking about Charlie Morton, who it's a shock to see at 99, but it's also not. But we've seen better results from Nick Martinez. Now seems to have a rotation spot. He has been pitching pretty well of late. Cody Bradford pitched great at the beginning of the season, and now, even though they said he wasn't going to come back as a starter, seems to be in the rotation, is coming off a good start. And Paul Blackburn, we've seen be effective in the past. Got a team upgrade going from Oakland to the Mets. It's a good pitching park. Could you see a case for any of those three guys actually moving out of the streamer tier, maybe becoming preferred streamers where like you could hold them, or at least in deep leagues, maybe you hold them? Or do you think these guys are just pure streamers and, I'm overthinking it?
I mean, it's totally possible. I am very curious about Nick Martinez. It was really fun last year when he was a starter for the Padres for those brief moments. He had like a 22 inning scoreless streak. I want to say stretch. Streak. It's a streak.
Yeah, streak.
And screech. And that
was where my brain went.
Yeah, of course, me too. And he's done that now again.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. The changeup wasn't as good last time. And it wasn't the pitch for him. It was more like fastballs, cutters getting it done. I kind of dig Nick Martinez. It's just a bad situation for him.
Mm-hmm.
However, if he does really find that nibbling command that he has before, I can actually see Nick Martinez really get out of it. Paul Blackburn, Paulie Punchouts, I don't really think so. It's just a good series.
Paulie Punchouts is such a Queen's nickname. I love it.
That's from Spore. We call him that. I'd find it so funny. This is just a weekly streamer thing.
Okay. And no love for Cody Bradford, who now seems back in the rotation.
Possible. That's actually kind of why he's here, because I meant to mention him. Thank you. He gets the Twins this week, which isn't really a positive thing. But he has a really good extension and he has decent vert. So there are like times that Cody Bradford, I'm like, just you kind of are interesting, man. But I really need him to do more first before I actually am willing to buy in on this.
Yep. I get it. And then I see my boy Bowden Francis on here, who at the beginning of the season, I was like, it's going to be a little bit of a breakout, and it didn't quite happen. But listen, I picked him up a few places for this 2-start week, and we'll see if we can get him back in the groove a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't love the 7 strikeout game against the Orioles. I watched all of it. I don't think his 4-seamer is as good as we want it to be. Command was kind of all over the place. It was not really the game I thought it was based on the results. He had some really good sliders down that got guys. He had some curveballs that worked, a lot of them that did not work. Yeah, it was. Oh, the splitter was inconsistent too. Just, yeah. No, it wasn't really impressive to me. I see that 7 Ks in 5 innings and all, but I led with him in that one. And there's also Osvaldo Bido, like Osvaldo Bido. Man, this is what I do, guys, all the time. This is my Pollack.
You got so many pitching names just trapped up in that brain of yours.
Well, I just reverse everything, dyslexia. And with Bido, I'm just like, what? Yeah, I understand. He throws like 95 and whatnot. Like, cool, okay, I get that, but this is very pedestrian. I remember watching this one against the Jays and just going, how is this working? How are they just not doing anything with this? Oh, the Jays have a really bad back half of their lineup, but still, like, this should be a lot worse than what this is. He was better against the Dodgers at least, but I don't know. The changeup was better there. The slider was better there, at least positioning. I still feel like Bido just is not the guy you want him to be for the Athletics right now. I just can't do this.
I haven't been digging in on this at all. I've seen some of the stats and been like, I've seen it. I don't trust it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, with a lot of good starting pitching matchups to watch tonight, a lot of good starting pitching to watch during the week. And as Nick mentioned at the top, this is the time of year where the list kind of tends to change a lot. You see guys go in and out of rotations. You see usage, kind of change, and maybe you try to make some drastic decisions for your own teams. Guys you want to get rid of, guys you need to bench, guys you want to throw in there. And we'll kind of keep going through it as we get to these dog days.
Yeah, the dog days of summer. So Eric, who would you say here? Bailey Falter, Simeon Woods Richardson, or Yariel Rodriguez? Which one should make it to the list this week?
Are they slotting into the DL Hall spot where you are hoping for more? Removed. But what I mean is, are you bumping guys up, or are you saying, I just hope?
No, I'm only putting this guy at 100.
Okay, right. So if you're putting somebody at 100, I think I'm gonna lean Yariel Rodriguez.
Why is that?
I feel like, first of all, he threw, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to look this up on the pitcher list player page, but I believe he was at a season high pitches in his last start.
It was 85.
Right, but that makes me feel good about
right around there, like 83, 85. Yeah,
that makes me feel good about getting my 5 innings from him.
Sure, okay.
Which is important if I'm looking for wins and stuff. I find the Cubs to be a fine but not like really intimidating lineup.
Okay.
I do think that Yariel Rodriguez can get enough whiffs on the four-seamer slider pairing that like you could get some strikeouts in there. I have Simeon Wood Richardson on my AL tout team, but like pitching him against the Rangers, like I
don't want to do that this week. Yeah, I'm with you.
Right,
I think Falter is the one I'm really considering because it is hosting the Mariners. It's not in Seattle.
Yeah.
So
I get it. I guess I feel like this exact time last year when we started doing these podcasts together and Bailey Falter went on like a 4 or 5 start run where he looked really good. And we started talking about Bailey Falter and like, is he should go to the Rays and like but it just never clicks in.
Yeah. So there's actually someone else that I might consider instead all of a sudden, a dark horse candidate.
Okay.
It's Dean Kramer against the Nationals.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
I mean, Dean Kramer, guys, Dean Kramer is very volatile. It's a win chance that's higher, I think, for the others. Trevor Rogers, you can even consider. Would you say Trevor Rogers or Dean Kramer?
I'm actually just pulling up my Sunday, my Sunday fantasy baseball waiver wire article, which I do every week over at NBC Sports. And I do a ranking of streamers, which are guys under 50% rostered on Yahoo. And I have Trevor Rogers against Washington ahead of Edward Cabrera against the Mets and behind.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
But that's just me being
ridiculous. Just kidding.
Sure. But also scarred by my previous Edward Cabrera love. I have Trevor Rogers over Hayden Birdsong and Tyler Phillips too, who I know have better matchups on the surface, but the Nationals have been really struggling of late, and I trust the chance for a win for Rogers.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Dark horse coming in. It's Trevor Rogers. Okay, cool. There you go, guys. Bonus content on this episode of the podcast. Eric, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Nick. I'm excited for us to be back in our normal groove.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it. I am Eric Samulski, the Pelican.
I am Nick Pollack, the Lion.
I'm gonna go walk outside and get one of those dirty hot dogs Nick loves so much.